Hello and welcome back to Kitco Mining with me, Paul Harris. Today, I've got the great pleasure of interviewing Alex Black, Executive Chair of RIO2, a company which is developing the Fenix Gold Oxide Project in Chile's Maricunga region. Alex, welcome to Kitco.
Thanks, Paul. Good to be here.
Now, Alex, you said I could ask you anything. So before we get going with the real interview, I want to ask you, can you remember the first time you and I were due to have an interview and you blew me off? Can you remember when that was and why that was?
Whoa. No, my brain doesn't work that well, but no, I don't remember. I'm sorry that I blew you off. Why did I blow you off?
It was 2015 and you just did the deal with Tahoe Resources of Rio Alto Mining.
And I blew you off?
Yeah, you had to go and sign documents and close the deal. So that's why it didn't happen.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry.
No worries. All good reasons.
That was a bit of a deal that I regretted anyway, because of what happened to me about 6 months later. But anyway, it is what it is. And that was a good result for our shareholders. That's for sure.
Great stuff. Well, you're now with RIO2, the second incarnation or iteration of what you were doing at Rio Alto. And I think it's fair to say you established the company with similar goals to build a junior, a mid-tier gold producer and take it as far as you can.
Yeah, I think this is really a continuation of Rio Alto. I mean, we had a bit of a hiatus there after I left. I wasn't done. That was 2016 that I left. And I put together the old team because Tahoe summarily went through and got rid of everybody, which was really crazy stuff, given our experience level and what we had achieved in Peru. But they got rid of all of us and thought they knew how to do things better, and the rest is history because it now belongs to Pan American Silver. But the team's with me, and we've got the same culture, the same business ethic, the same ideals, and same objectives as what we had at the old Rio Alto.
Alex, one question that I always have for executives that have been successful, such as yourself, and it's the following. I imagine you did quite well personally out of selling Rio Alto Mining to Tahoe Resources. That was a transaction for over $1 billion. It's hard, it's difficult. You've got to deal with permitting, you've got to deal with shareholders, you've got to deal with journalists. Why have you still got appetite to do this and to build another company?
Well, I guess I got to say probably a part of it is ego. I enjoy what I do. I wasn't done when I left Tahoe in 2016. The other thing was that I was very attached to our team at Rio Alto, and they weren't done either. And so I thought, well, let's get together again and let's give it another go. And we're doing something pretty unique in Chile. There's never been a Peruvian team that's turned on a mining project in Chile. Buenaventura hasn't done it. Minsur hasn't done it. None of the miners from Peru have gone into Chile to do that, and we're gonna do that. Obviously, with a Chilean operation team. And so the other thing is the Chilean gold mining industry is very small. It's 1 million ounces. There's 4 players. There's us, Kinross, Pan American Silver, and Goldfield. That's it. And last year, the sector produced 1 million ounces of gold from byproduct credits of copper mining and also gold production. So we've got the opportunity to be a significant player in the gold sector in Chile, and the opportunity to grow in that environment and become attractive, I think, for somebody down the track, like we became attractive in 2015 when we sold to Tahoe Resources, become attractive to somebody who may be interested in what we're doing.
Now, another thing that's been difficult in recent years, Alex, is the market for junior gold explorers and developers. RIO2, you had your share price crashed to, let's say 10 cents per share when you had the permitting issue a couple of years ago. You've since recovered handsomely. You're up, well over 60 cents now. And you've just done a $63 million Canadian financing equity raise. How did that go? How has appetite for junior gold stocks changed?
Well, it's still difficult. It's not easy. And I think investors have become a lot more selective about who they invest in. And let me tell you, doing that financing in October when we did it, probably, a masterstroke by us, given what's happened since the presidential election and the sentiment towards gold, the competition that Bitcoin is now challenging gold as a reserve base for the US dollar, and the general market in the US. So it wasn't an easy process, but I think because we'd done it before, and investors were giving money to a project that was run by a management team that had done this twice before in Peru with La Reina and Shahuindo, they felt comfortable. We had a book that was more than three times oversubscribed. We had $140 million in the book the next day. Out of that book, there was about 48 institutional investors. So it was spread out amongst a group of institutional investors, North American and also European. And some of those investors had supported us back in the Rio Alto days 15 years ago. So that was quite interesting as well. So yeah, we were lucky that we picked the timing that we did, and we took more money than what we needed because we had such a healthy book. We took an over allotment and we upsized the deal to 55 million. We took an over allotment, we took it up to 63 million. Wheaton came in with 5 million Canadian on a private placement basis. So it was very successful, and we've got probably surplus to what we need, about 30 million US in the bank, which is good. That sets us up for any potential blowouts at Fenix Gold, which we're not anticipating, but I think investors like to see that these days is juniors with a healthy balance sheet going into a project build. And the other thing is we can use that money to do other things. When I say other things, we've been looking at M&A over the last few years, 6 years at least, since we acquired Fenix Gold back in 2018. We've not been successful at doing other M&A, but we may do M&A in the not too distant future on various things but as you know, M&A is not easy. It's difficult. We're not for sale, so there've been some other bigger guys come and talk to us about what our plans are and what our objectives are. Same as what your question was: why do this? Why don't you let us do it? But we're not for sale. We're a $250 million US company with a project that start a project that with its MPV at today's metal prices is about $800 million US. So no, we're not for sale. This is the same playbook as Rio Alto. Get the thing into production, expand the project, and then see what happens after that.
Well, congratulations on the financing, Alex. Of the institutions that came in, were there any surprises in there? People you wouldn't expect to see participate in that kind of financing?
No, there's some big blue chip funds out of Canada in there. So maybe that's a little bit surprising, is that they've decided to come into a developer like us. I also know of other funds that potentially could have played but don't play in the developer stage. They prefer to play in the production stage. So we've got some potential to attract other institutional investors as time progresses. But no real surprises. We didn't have a strategic come in, another mining company or a significant fund take a big position. But there there's some good names on our ledger, that's for sure.
Excellent. So the development of Fenix is now fully financed. So what are the next steps?
Well, the next step is to execute and deliver, right? As we have been telling everybody we're going to do. No, the next steps, we've been employing people in Chile. That's going really well. In Chile right now, there's a lot of people coming off the build of Salares Norte, which is Goldfields project, which was built 150 kilometres to the north of us in the Atacama region. So there are people in that Copiapó area that potentially would like to come and be involved in our build out. So we've got the Rio Alto focus, and that's to build a culture of young professionals that may not get the same experience opportunities at some of these bigger copper mines in Chile. Get buried in the hierarchy. We look for good young individuals to come and work for us and make a name for themselves, and to take the responsibility that may not get elsewhere. So, and that's exactly what we did at Rio Alto with La Reina and Shahuindo. We had a good young professional team in place, and we're just trying to replicate that culture in Chile.
Alex, you sounded for a moment a bit like Mark Bristow at Barrick Gold. You know, he has a culture of bringing on talent and wanting talent to have the responsibility to go onwards and upwards.
Yeah, I mean, look, Bristow, I don't know being aligned with him, but it's all about enthusiasm, responsibility. I think, none of us like to be micromanagers, what we like to do is put people into positions, give them responsibility to do something, and help them out if something goes wrong, right? And if they make mistakes. And obviously people learn by mistakes and hopefully don't repeat those mistakes. So that's what we were good at Rio Alto, and that's what I think we'll be good at in Chile with Fenix Gold.
So Alex, what's the timing on the Fenix development? When do you anticipate first gold pour or first gold?
Well, we haven't given official guidance. We've been saying towards the end of next year is when we were likely to see first gold. And the reason it's such a short timeline is we already started on this project back 2 years ago. Remembering we took down half of the $50 million Wheaton gold stream back then. So we had the capital to invest in the project. We did some pre-construction activities. We bought long lead items back then, 2 years ago. So we've got a jump start here. So this is really for us recommencement of construction, not starting from zero. So that's where we're at the moment.
Okay, now you mentioned that this will be the initial project. I believe it's initial 22 years, but there's a much larger resource at Fenix, and you're planning an expansion at some point down the road. What are the plans there?
Yeah, it's a 17-year mine life at the current run rate of 20,000 tonnes a day of ore to pad. We decided to do that because what we wanted to do was fast track this project, and by fast tracking this project, we took water out of the equation. When I say we took water out of the equation, we took water out of our plans to either apply for subsurface water rights or to find desal solutions for water, which would have taken a long time and which would have complicated our EIA process. So we said to ourselves, let's just get this project into production, and what can we do to accelerate that? And we came up with the idea of trucking the water to the project. So that's exactly what we're going to do, and it works, and it's a part of the costs that we've put into our feasibility study that we completed last year. So it's not optimal. 20,000 tonnes a day is not optimal. This is a 5 million ounce deposit constrained within an $1,800 pit shell. So at today's metal prices, that resource becomes almost a reserve. Obviously, we've got to do some more work on that. But The optimal throughput rate, we think, is about 80,000 tonnes a day. So that's 4 times bigger than what it is at the moment. It will see, if we get to that run rate, it will see our gold production go from about 100,000 ounces per annum, which is the starter case, to about 300,000 ounces of gold per annum. And it will do that for more than 10 years. So this becomes a world-class project at that stage. But what is on the critical path is water. And we have been working on longer-term water options. And the only water option really available to us in Chile is desal, because the government and the environmentalists have stopped the opportunity for people to get water rights and permits to pull water from the subsurface, because aquifers have been depleted throughout the country because of all the mining that's going on there. So all the big guys have been forced into desal. That's fine. They've got the balance sheets to do that. In our case, we're hoping that we can find a desal solution whereby a third party provides us with the desal. They build the desal plant, and potentially the pipeline that goes from the desal plant, which will be located near Copiapó, to our project 140 kilometres away. And we pay them for a cubic metre of water. So that's what we're looking at. There's a couple of options there. We've elaborated on one over the last few months, which is a project called ENEPAC, which is a joint venture between an Israeli company and a Spanish company. The Israelis specialise in desal, the Spanish company in solar. They plan to power the desal plant with solar energy and also the pumping of the water along the various pipelines. And they've got 2 pipelines going to the north and to the east, and we're on the eastern line. And they're in the EIA approval process for the eastern line at the moment. They have EIA approval for everything else, the plant, the northern pipeline, but they are waiting for EIA approval for the eastern line. The eastern line goes straight to our project, and the beneficiaries of that line would essentially be ourselves, Kinross, and Codelco. Codelco are developing a big lithium project on the Salar de Maracunga, which is just to the east of us. And so us three would have water demand from a desal solution. But none of us probably would build our own desal plant. So a third-party solution is probably the most optimal solution. So that's what we're working on. We'll do a expansion study during next year, during the construction phase, and we'll unveil a couple of options in that study, cost it out, and show what will happen. But essentially, gold production will go up significantly, and costs will come down, significantly, because trucking the water is an expensive exercise. And not having to do that will translate to better op costs, and also going to a larger production rate will lower our mining costs as well.
Alex, although the permitting delay must have been very, very frustrating, it also seems to have been serendipitous in that when we first started talking about Fenix several years ago, the opportunity for a third-party utility to provide water to multiple clients, that didn't really exist. That's something that's really become something in Chile in recent years, spurred on by the purchase power agreements of the utilities providing renewable energy to all the copper mines, and now it seems looking to provide water to satisfy their needs. So that delay might have been frustrating, but there seems to be a benefit from that as well.
You're spot on, Paul. Obviously, we like to say things happen for a reason. We went through hell when we got held up with the EIA. But yeah, things have changed, and the water situation has become clearer. And this ENEPAC project will be the first of its type in Chile. It's providing third-party water to a number of smaller mining projects that can't substantiate building their own desal project. So that didn't exist 3 or 4 years ago. We're in a great spot. And yeah, what happened to us is water under the bridge, and we keep moving on.
Are you going to invite the Chilean mining minister to the opening ceremony, or even the president?
It's interesting because I've heard talk about there being an opening ceremony or being touted, and that the mining ministry wants to get involved in that. And there's even talk of the president getting involved in the ceremony, which is a 180-degree turn for us, because obviously we went through a lot of pain with the current government. So, but we welcome that if that actually happens. Andrew Cox, our president and CEO, is currently in Chile, and I think he's talking to the various government persons that will coordinate that if it's going to happen. But yeah, this is a pretty important project right now in the Atacama region. As I say, Salares Norte is finished, and lots of people coming off that project. And the Atacama region has the highest level of unemployment in the whole of Chile. So a new gold mine coming on stream, we're going to employ about 1,200 people amongst ourselves and our various contractors in building this project. So that's a shot in the arm for the economy there. And then once we get to production, we're employing about just over 500 people in the operation. So we're a significant contributor to employment in the area.
Now, Alex, I can't let you go before talking a bit more about M&A. You mentioned you'll be looking at M&A and the possibility of growing the company like you did with Rio Alto Mining. There are other gold deposits in the Maricunga region. Are you looking there? Are you looking further afield?
Oh, we're looking everywhere. I mean, it'd be silly not to look in our own backyard, and we've got some ideas for our backyard. But yeah, I mean, Latin America, obviously, with the team that we have, we could walk into a development opportunity and be the mining people to turn that project on. So yeah, I mean, the issue with M&A, as you know, is it's all about two parties wanting to do the same thing, and typically M&A falls over at the end because of social issues. You've got two CEOs, two boards, two teams, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a matter of two groups coming together and doing a sensible deal.
Has it surprised you how little M&A there has been over the past sort of couple of years, given the surge in the gold price?
Yeah, I have, but there's been a bit of a brain drain as well over the last 10 to 15 years. I mean, look at me, I'm 66 and I'm still in the game, but there's not too many younger people coming through that have the sort of experience level that that's required, and so there's more of these. I'm starting to see lots of IPOs of gold IPOs of exploration companies. So there's these young guys that want to go and explore and find things and do stuff, but guys, the guys to turn on a project are few and far between, and we've got one of those teams. But that's the difficulty, and then the other thing with M&A, as I said, it's all social at the management level. What's in it for me? What am I going to do? And egos, like I talked about why I'm doing this, is it's ego, but it's a matter of finding like-minded companies from a management perspective that are willing to do something creative.
Excellent. Well, Alex, congratulations once again on the financing, and good luck with the development. Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thanks for the time, Paul.
And don't forget, if you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button. I'm Paul Harris, and this is Kitco Mining.